What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Kaisa Show.
What up?
I'm here with my co-host, Mike, and we have a really good episode today. I say that and I don't even know where we're going.
Yeah, that's a good optimism. I like that.
Yeah, Mike and I are in a good mood. We've been, working hard all day, and I feel like that good energy is going to flow into today's podcast.
I agree. I'm excited because we got a couple new things we're trying out today on the podcast. Because we've been trying to collect reviews and feedback and stuff. We got a few that we're going to go over today. We're going to acknowledge some people, which is going to be fun. So it's kind of I wouldn't call it a random show because we've done the random show before. I don't know if this is all that random. There's a couple I've got some things I want to talk about.
Mike created an outline. Let's be real.
Yeah, every week. Come on, we got.
Okay, but I have to go back to the reviews. I'm not going to lie, I always forget that people might be listening to this podcast. Yeah. So we got a really cool email this week, and it just means so much. So I'm excited. Are we going to touch on them a little bit?
This is what you do. I love it. This is just because I have this plan for the end of the show, and then you just skip. So let's just do it now because it's fun.
Okay.
And we're already here.
Okay.
So we want to give a shout out to Maria Strepp and Amber Harper. Maria dropped a YouTube comment about Luca's episode, actually, and had some great takeaways. So we just want to say thank you for listening, and thank you for taking the time to comment and explain what you got out of it.
Yeah.
That means a lot. And then also Amber Harper, we want to give a big shout out for an amazing email. That was the one you forwarded me the other day.
Yes. That was so thoughtful and sweet and completely made our week. So thank you.
And congratulations, because I believe Amber is pregnant. So shout out to new moms.
Yes.
Okay.
And shout out to you listening and making it all the way through our podcast. We are so grateful for all of you.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so we're gonna drop into a few things, but before we get started, what's buzzing?
What's buzzing? Okay.
You go first.
Okay. Mine is literally what's buzzing. And I think I'm taking a detour on a what's buzzing topic, but what's buzzing is I got my first bee sting.
Oh,
ever.
Yeah. That's funny that you're buzzing on
and
that.
It was so perfect because I was thinking about last night, like, what am I buzzing on? And it was just too perfect. I'm buzzing on the fact that I got my first bee sting and I'm still alive.
You actually came into the studio. I forgot. You're Mike, this weekend I got stung by a bee. I was like, well, clearly you're not allergic.
No, because apparently you don't know if you're allergic until the second sting. And I've been starting to hypothesize that I'm actually going to have a deathly allergic reaction because the bee sting was 2 weeks ago and my foot is still kind of itching and bothering me where the bee sting is.
I think they can kind of I don't know. I was going to give some comment that I actually have no clue about. Because I've gotten stung by a bee, I think 3 times in my life. So I'm not. My dad's allergic. He has to carry an EpiPen.
Oh, really?
It's actually quite scary.
It is.
He doesn't talk about it much. I think he must just always have it with him. But kind of freaky. Something you can't control I never meant to get stung by a bee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nothing I could have prepared for.
I literally stepped on this bee.
Totally.
And also for me, the bee was in the pool and I asked somebody to get out of the pool. And then it was the same bee that they had laid on the side of the pool. And unless a new bee came in the exact same position. And then 2 hours later, I stepped on it. So that was what I'm buzzing on.
That's a stretch to think it was the same bee. 2 hours later?
Yeah.
You don't think the bee left the premises?
Okay, well, when I said it out loud, it kind of sounded stupid.
I thought it was immediately. I didn't know it was 2 hours later. This bee was catching some sun rays poolside with you guys.
No, do you think maybe it could have been dead?
Oh,
and I just stepped on the stinger.
Oh, that's
what that was the story I told myself.
Can you get stung by a dead bee? I would kind of assume so, but I don't know.
I don't know either.
We need to get a bee expert on the show in the future.
No, I don't even like talking about them. We just can go through my what's buzzing topic fast. Okay. Bees and spiders are not for me.
Bees and spiders. Okay, well that's cool.
Yeah,
that was buzzing.
Yeah, buzzing.
This week I'm buzzing on this here recorder that we're recording the podcast on. You're already disinterested because you don't like tech. But here's the thing.
No, I'm not disinterested, people. Did everybody hear that? Wait, do they all hear that?
Yeah, yeah, it's in there. That's one of my favorite things about this recorder. This is a Zoom P4 pod track. And it's super easy. It's like $200. It allows you to have 4 connection. So we could have 4 mics set up.
Oh.
Each of us can have a headphone out, which not all, like, you kind of have to get higher up in the tech to get, like, everyone gets a headphone, unless you get, like, splitters and blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
And you got these amazing effects. Thank
No
you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
way.
Thank you. What's the other one that's... Ooh, money in the bank.
Can we do one, like, so I can have an effect for this?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just swirl my fingers around when Mike needs to wrap up
it
his long-winded.
Yep.
Can I have whoosh, like wind? Long-winded.
No, we'll get something better than that. I don't know what that is. We can do something like at the Oscars, you know, when the speech needs to get wrapped up, they do that really subtle music.
Yeah.
You can put whatever you want on there, which
I'm
is really
gonna
dope.
think of something.
The problem, I will say, my one criticism about it is if you want to put your own sounds on there, because those are built in, like, to the machine. But if we want to put our own, you have to put it on the little SD card. And you have to have it on the SD card every time.
I'm not gonna lie, you are
You don't
speaking
know
of foreign
any of that.
language.
So this
to
all
me.
records to a little memory card.
Okay.
Right? So you have to put the sounds on that memory card and then pop it in. Anyways,
I just always take it for granted because you know
I know.
everything, and then I just show up and everything's like
You're
ready
"Get
to go and
recorded."
perfect.
Yeah. You have to charge batteries?
Sorry,
Like-
you're so good at what you do. I don't even get stressed about it. I don't even have to think about it.
Well, thank you. Another thing, it allows you to, like, plug in a phone. So we could, like, call someone. I was thinking we have some people we might want to call someday on the show.
Oh my God.
Live, like, literally, like, it plugs into your phone, and then you could call someone, and it like, it's great.
Uncle
so that's
Matt.
Cool. Yeah, Uncle Matt. I was thinking
Call
maybe
Uncle
Boss.
Matt.
Like, that would be, you know.
Oh, we should totally
Yeah.
call Boss. Okay, that Boss would be a liability, but if everybody's
Totally,
ready for it, we're going to
100%,
call.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm buzzing on that. It's been a game changer not to have to plug the mics into the camera.
Yeah.
Now we got this little thing. So
Love it.
anyways, that's where I'm at.
Okay, I love that for you.
Thank you. And for you.
And for
It's
me.
beneficial.
You're right.
It's beneficial for us both. All right. So the half marathon.
I knew you were going to go here.
How I'd like to preface this. Okay. So if you've been listening to the podcast, Kaisa has been training. That's a stretch of a word
Training.
for this half marathon happening in Santa Barbara with her friend. And I check in, and it doesn't seem like much is kind of happening in that department as far as running training. I mean, you train all the time, but
I'm getting sweaty.
it is hot.
I
in
knew
here.
you were going to call me out.
How I would like to preface this, because there's another thing I want to bring up along these lines, is that it's not quitting, it's making adjustments. So you've had
Yeah.
to make some adjustments.
I also don't mind quitting. I don't think quitting is a terrible thing. I think we've talked about this before. I don't have any problem quitting things if it's not right for me or doesn't
Yeah.
serve me. Here's the thing.
Let's hear the story, though. What's the story with the marathon training? What
Everything
happened?
I say is going to sound like one big excuse. So the moral of the story is I signed up for the half marathon as an exciting thing to do with my friend, not because I wanted to run record speeds at a marathon, but because I wanted an excuse to go to Santa Barbara, hang out. And also I wanted motivation on days that I've been always thinking I wanted to run more. So on days that I wanted to go for a run and was not going to be motivated, if I had the half marathon in my mind, I was going to go for an extra run or a run. Okay, it worked a few times. I did go on runs. I did buy a new pair of shoes.
Oh, yeah, that was a whole thing.
Yeah.
I forgot about the campaign.
So I think it really did succeed at what I wanted it to do. Unfortunately, my friend hurt her back, so she can't run. And then I think we can say it now because this will air after. My uncle is going to be proposing. My uncle is my favorite person in the world. He's going to be proposing to his girlfriend.
Wait, do you know that for sure?
Well, Uncle Matt's going to be on the spot. Yeah. And the party is
Well,
going
I'm
to be.
just saying, like, what if he wasn't, and then future wifey?
Oh, no. And they do listen to this. No.
Okay, shout out to that proposal.
Yeah, shout out to the proposal.
Are we doing jackets? I'm hot, too.
Yeah, I got hot. I got sweaty. I knew you were going to put me on the spot. So I guess I'm not doing the half marathon, okay? I don't have any problem with it. More people are like, wait, what? But it served its purpose, and I'm actually considering signing up for another one. I think I'm going to sign up for the Seattle Half Marathon in September. So, if I add 5 more extra runs in, that is an accomplishment.
Yeah, totally.
So,
that's what I'm saying. It's not
yeah.
quitting, it's making adjustments. I don't think you really quit. You just decided to...
I mean, I did quit.
For the record, you are a quitter.
I don't think that's negative.
No, I don't think so.
It's a skill.
Either. Yeah. I think exactly like that's kind of, I thought there was a kind of a fun conversation around quitting, like knowing when to quit. Like if you're forcing something, like for what at the end of the day, like there's a lot of situations where it's like, don't be a quitter or whatever. And it's like, actually, it's great to quit sometimes.
Oh, 1,000%. And I think also it's knowing, for me, I knew I was signing up for the half marathon, not as like all of my training was going to be dedicated to running, but just in the sense of I've had an interest for the past, I would say the past like year, just to be able to like go outside and go for a run.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm forcing that on myself. I just don't like running.
I think I'm the same way. Like so many people I talk to feel the same way. Like I think it must be just such a primal movement that it seems like we all should be decent at it and like it. And when we don't, it's like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah. And I always think of it like, oh, it's going to be like such a fun thing. I'm going to go get fresh air and go run. But the reality is my body actually doesn't really like running that much either. Like my back starts cramping.
Totally.
So there's all these things that come into play where, and I know this kind of sounds contradictory because I just said I'm going to sign up for the Seattle half marathon, but I just like, I don't know. I like having, like things in the ground, or what do we call them? My anchors to go for. And if I add extra running in, I am happy. And that's all it's for. Like, I don't find a lot of enjoyment, but I still am hopeful that maybe one day I will.
There we go.
When everybody says they go run, like the type of person that runs and like clears their mind and meditates, I so want that to be me. Because I actually get angry when I run.
You want it to be over.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I start to get more mad, and I'm like, what am I doing? And this is boring. And it's never changed. I've always thought that.
I will say I started doing, I think I've talked about it before, like the low heart rate running. And I will say once I let the ego fall, like because I'm going slow, but I actually reached a point where I was enjoying running because it didn't hurt, and because it felt like I was on a slow drive through a neighborhood. I don't know. You get older, I feel like, well, let's take the scenic route, and you like, look at that house. That's a nice yard, and you just kind of, it's like it's something that I think just happened. So that's how I started feeling with running. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like I get to cruise through these neighborhoods I normally don't like care about or like remember what is down here. Yeah. But I don't know. You're
just motivated by you are motivated by numbers and data. So it's so fitting that you're just thinking like that's a new thing for you to test out and to see if it works, which is perfect. I'm not motivated by that.
What are you motivated by?
Like, am I having fun doing this?
Okay.
Winning. Okay. But I wasn't trying to win the half marathon. So that wasn't really motivation. And I'm still not giving it up. I just want to be clear. I am still on the pursuit of being a runner. But to go back to everyone thinking that we should all be runners, running is actually a really aggressive and oftentimes hard thing on most people's bodies. Yeah. So it's not, I am trying to pay attention. Like maybe my body just doesn't like running. Like maybe I just need to go out and sprint, but a slow jog, especially on a treadmill, just doesn't do me very good. Yeah. My back.
Yeah. I'm just in like my feet. Yeah. My feet get and I've tried all the different shoes, and it's just always like, I can do it, but it's not like there's nothing else that I do that afterwards I'm in the kind of pain that I'm in from running.
So like literally not worth it. And I'm right there with you.
But doesn't it also, you're like, but I can figure it out.
Well, I do. And I was telling Luca, my coach, that, and he was like, well, send me a video. I think we could kind of start analyzing it. Because there's obviously something that's happening. For me, my back cramps up like 10 minutes in, and then I have to jump off the treadmill for 30 seconds, get back on and run for a minute, because I can't figure it out. So clearly there's things happening.
And we also might be going too much too soon.
It's moral of our story.
Yeah,
always.
I think that's like a big, because I'm like, I'll go do 5 miles, even though I haven't ran in a year. And it's like, that probably wasn't a good idea. Yeah. But the thought of like doing a half mile or a mile to work on form, like there's definitely ego involved for me where I'm like,
it's actually a good point. Yeah. I went from like nothing to 40 minutes.
Exactly. That's a lot. That's a lot.
So was.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then what about soccer?
You're so mean. Nothing. I can't tell Mike anything anymore because it's all going to come back in my face. on a podcast.
No, I just think this is a learning opportunity for the listeners out there thinking like, oh, Kaisa just starts running and she's going to do this marathon and then like she just playing soccer. How does she do it all? Well, folks,
she doesn't.
She doesn't.
No, she doesn't.
You're real.
At all.
You're a human like all of us. I just think these are valid things to bring up.
Totally. And I continuously do things having hopes that, oh, this is going to be like the next thing that like brings me some joy or, you know, is like my outlet or my stress reliever. And I can tell pretty quickly when it's not. And so when it's causing me more stress, like soccer, you know, I can't get over the fact that I still think I should be a really good soccer player and I'm not. And I don't have the time to like go practice. So it's just, it ends up every Monday night more frustrated and upset than feeling good about the thing that I do. And in my mind, I'm playing such a different picture and telling myself such a different story of like, this is going to be so great. And then when it's challenging, like work through it and you're going to learn so many things. No, I'm fucking not. I'm learning a lot more about myself in therapy than I am in the soccer field. Okay. I just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm still on the team, but I told them like, maybe I'll be at one game.
You have an injury. You're on the sidelines right now.
I have a brain injury.
I forget who we were talking. It might have been Luca too, about kind of knowing when something is taking away versus like adding to. And I think like I've been thinking about my training a lot in that way of like, this is clearly like, I just run it through a quick filter. Like, is that adding to my life or is it taking away? And I'm definitely at a point in my life where I'm like, things need to be adding. And like, so I think that's something.
Yeah, because I think the story that you could tell yourself if you're a quitter or like, you know, what I could be telling myself, like, I'm lazy, I have no motivation, I have no discipline, but that's not the truth. I am not lazy. I'm not unmotivated. Like I'm working my ass off, especially in training with like, we want to talk about movement, like with Luca, you know, I'm like going crazy. I'm about to do the SMART training program. Like there's a lot I'm doing. It just, this isn't something that I'm having a lot of fun doing. And I value whether or not I'm enjoying something more than whether or not I could just push myself to do that thing. So I've just changed the story. But my entire life, I would have told myself the other story.
Yeah.
Like you're worthless, you're pointless, you can't do that, you know?
And then it affects all these other things too,
everything.
Which is so annoying. This is interesting because this also is interesting for me because my whole journey this year of like, this is the first year I haven't snowboarded. I've told you this before, which is like, and it feels like I'm quitting, but like to me, I'm like, no, I'm not quitting. I'm just like making an adjustment. This year just didn't work out. And also being open to like what it might look like in the future, which just could be different. Like your soccer career in your 20s might look different than your soccer recreational playing in your 30s. And so it was funny this weekend, a friend of ours was like so stoked on taking his 2 daughters and his wife to Snoqualmie Pass, like to the local mountain, which isn't like a very good mountain. But he's like, we go in the evenings, like we have an evening pass. We go on Saturdays in the evening, so we don't have to wake up early. And I'm like, all these things that don't even register in my mind because I'm like, you have to get up early, you have to get fresh tracks, you have to be like, you have to get the best of the best. And I'm like, this is really interesting. He's like, yeah, you're not like there to get like powder lines or like get the best, you know, day. He's like, but you're there with your family and it's like fun to be in the snow with your family. And I was like,
yeah,
maybe next year I adjust to where it adds to versus takes away.
Yeah, and I think we always talk about seasons, but I think it just depends on the season. And I think for me, like I am in a season of the extracurricular things that I'm doing. I just want them to bring joy and I want them to be fun. And I don't really want to be stressed out and I don't want to be dreading it the entire day. And I gave myself, with soccer, I gave myself an entire season and I did sign up for the second season. I haven't been to a game yet, to like push through and just figure out where I was really at. But I know myself and I kind of respect my boundaries and I don't think less of myself if that thing's not working for me. I'm like actually kind of more proud of just being like, I made that call. Like I tried it. It didn't really work and it might work in a few years. Like my mom is 61 and is on a soccer team now. Like who knows? Just because I'm quitting it now doesn't mean I'm like quitting it for life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Speaking of quitting.
Oh gosh, what?
Today's theme. No, we're kind of fielding questions from the community.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought I was like racking my brain. Is there something else I told
today.
you I quit? Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I'm out.
My stomach hurts.
What if I just quit the podcast?
I would be devastated.
One person in particular, but I think many have asked and noticed, you have switched trainers.
Oh.
And I think the question comes up, it was a specific question around kind of when, it was a good question because it wasn't just like, why'd you switch? It was like when to know to switch things up, or to even like look at things and understand like, is this working or not?
Yeah,
and
that's
so,
a great question. And it has come up a lot on social too. So I appreciate it being here so we can kind of talk about it. So the kind of big theme about it is I've gotten to a place in my life where I am very clear about whether or not things are serving me. And I don't necessarily mean like in a selfish way. I just mean like even in a relationship and a partnership with like my trainer, like, is this serving me? If it's not serving me, it's probably not serving him. Is this is this a space that we should still be in? And I think I've come to realize with relationships of all types, whether it's my trainers, my friends, whoever, that they're not always here forever. And somebody, it could be a really, really positive thing for a while, and then you might need to move on. And that's exactly the case with Rebel, who I was training with before. I have gotten to the place where I really wanted to dive into learning more and more kind of sports performance training, and just like really heavily going that route, because I also wanted to create programs around that. And Luca is a better fit for that, point blank period. And Rebel and I are on good terms. We've had conversations about it, but I wanted more from what was happening. And that's the season of life that I'm in. I still tell everybody to go to athletic forming. It's the best community there. It is an amazing environment. And I had the most fun training for 2.5 years with Rebel, and he got me through so many hard times. So it's just for me about knowing very clearly about where I'm at in life and what I want out of a situation. And just, if I'm not getting that, I kind of don't stay in things very long anymore. Like I'm moving on to the next.
Yeah. What would you say you're learning a lot of like right now? Like what's a big change that's happened?
With Luca? Mm-hmm. I mean, just the fact that I'm like a curious person, and because especially with training and with the body, and because I'm not around other trainers anymore, I don't work in a gym, I miss out on being able to shoot the shit with other trainers and ask questions. And Luca is a very, very, like detailed, intelligent trainer. Passionate. Like and I've known that. I've known Luca for like 7 or 8 years, like I've always known that about him. I've always known like I wanted to learn in some way, but now was just the perfect fit of being like, I have a little bit more time in my life where I can drive the distance to go down there. I can learn, I can ask questions about everything that's going on, whether it's a move, whether it's the way he programs things. And a big thing to me was I really wanted to collaborate on a program that I was doing and that we could offer to others, which is what smart training is. And that was something that was a really good fit for Luca. And so that's where we're at. And I'm just right now in this moment, I am loving it. I mean, I literally came into our meeting yesterday, just straight from training, just being like, I loved it. Like it's fulfilling me right now.
A little ripe. Does Vigor have showers? Or they just... Look, it was a small room. You came in hot off the press.
That took me a minute to figure out what you were saying.
No,
God,
you weren't
shots
that bad.
fired.
No,
I warned
Thankfully,
you all and we opened the windows.
Yeah. Thankfully, you're not stinky because like you work out, like I'm around you a lot working out. And if you were, it'd be a problem. Like it would suck.
God, we'd have to get like a deodorant deal or something.
I mean, we did have deodorant on set, which is like, seems like like that's a prereq, but.
Kate, for the record.
What?
I don't like. Did I smell terrible?
No.
Okay,
no.
Just
No,
if people are gonna be listening,
no, I would
like,
let you
wow.
know. Like I'm gonna not let you know.
God.
I mean, I just did let you know. You did have a slight kind of onion, just a like onion light, nothing like.
Oh my God, you are so mean. But okay, I did work out
That's
for
love.
2 hours.
I know,
and then have to come straight to our meeting.
Yeah,
so if you work out for 2 hours and you don't smell, let me know what type of deodorant you're wearing. Straight
absolutely.
up.
Yeah, or like is it a prebiotic thing? You know, is it something internally that's coming out?
Hey, an onion though? What the fuck?
Yeah, no, I would say it was if I was going to compare it to a food, it would probably have been.
I mean,
because there's a bite,
but there's this is so gross. I am so sorry. One, I'm sorry to everybody listening. I'm also sorry that I smelled like an onion. I have to correct that one.
No, it's all good. Okay, follow-up question to this is, have you ever gotten trained by a woman?
Oh my gosh. Shout out to this question. And it's always in my mind that I would love to be coached by a woman. And no, the only female coach that I have had ever is a female soccer coach for a year.
How'd that go?
She quit. But she quit the whole team. It's not like she quit me.
Yeah, just because of you, though.
Right, it was probably a little tear. So no.
Yeah, it just hasn't presented itself.
It just hasn't presented itself, and I would love to be.
Do you think there's fewer like sports and performance coaches that are women versus men? Would you?
Yeah, there are fewer,
yeah.
but
So
there are some badass
for sure
women.
But maybe harder to come by.
By. And in Seattle, for me, like, you know, Luca has a space, Rebel has a space. You know, it's like hard. I don't have a space, so that is also like, do you have a studio space that we train out of? So
yeah,
but I would love to.
It's interesting though, because like I feel like you have a strong female audience that loves to be coached by you, and then you in the past you coached more women than you did men, right?
Always, yeah.
But then you get coached by a man.
But then I coach by a man.
No,
I don't know what that says about me.
Nothing weird. I mean, I think, I don't know. There's always, risky lines, but like there's a masculine and feminine energy sometimes. And I think that like you like that challenge, and not to say that like a female coach wouldn't challenge you, but there's something.
I'm intense, let's be honest. And not to say that a female coach couldn't handle my intensity, but like it definitely, I push the boundaries, and I'm like, I need somebody that can kind of like, hold their own.
I wonder if,
and I just reiterate, not that any female couldn't hold their own with me, because plenty of women do.
Yeah. And I'm going to say something without thinking it through too much. So like, feel free. Like I don't think this is bad, but maybe men have bigger egos in general. I think as a man, I feel like that's safe to say. And there's something about an ego that is like more determined to like challenge or kind of like, push. And so I wonder if maybe there's something around that, like the energy of like.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm sure it's a lot of things. I'm sure we could nitpick, but I think if a female coach in this area, if I knew about a female coach in this area that I think, could push me, I would absolutely be training with them as well.
Yeah.
So
if you're a female trainer in the Seattle area and you think you could train KaisaFit,
no,
call now.
And I don't mean that to sound like douchey at all. No. I just mean like I'm an intense person. Like even yesterday, walking into yesterday's training session, like I realized what a coach has to deal with when they deal with me, because I have I'm sorry. Okay. I don't realize just what a coach has to do. I realize what everybody in my life has to deal with when they deal with me. And I do try to actively work on that. And, I even sat in the car for a few minutes before I walked into Luca's, but I've had an intense few days, and checking my energy and balancing that, it's like, there's a lot going on. And I tried not to bring that in, but I did bring a little bit. I just get quiet. And when I get quiet, people are like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, nothing, don't talk to me.
Yeah. I get that way too, though. Like, and it's not this has come later in life. Like, I've just really tried, like, I always say too much. I've always like had this thing, it's like, oh, I said too much last night, or I said too much at that meeting. Like, I always walk away feeling like I said too much. Really? And then so later, like, it's been a hard practice of just kind of like taking things in. But whenever I do that, everyone's like, you good, Mike?
It happened yesterday.
Yeah, where I was like, you're not really saying that much. I'm like, no, I mean, I'm really taking this in. It's not like bad or good, but it's interesting. I think you're.
Yeah. I also think like I'm an extreme of energy, and like because when I'm like on, I am energetic and loud, and so I think it's also like really noticeable. It doesn't like slip through the cracks. Like when I'm having a bad day, as much as I try to be like, okay, don't affect anybody else, it's like even me trying to be like quiet and in my own space is like really affecting other people, because they're used to.
It's hard to hide.
It's hard to hide.
Yeah. But I appreciate that. I wouldn't say everyone appreciates it, but I think we're both very similar. Like we're honest, and sometimes like I wouldn't tell everybody I'm having a bad day. Sometimes I'm like, no, I'm fine, I'm good. But like with you, I'll be like, Yeah,
Safe space.
I'm having not a great morning. This is, and it's like, and then just letting that out often kind of makes me feel a little bit better anyway. So.
Well, I think we're good. We don't like try to take care of each other's problems, and I think that's also like I don't really want anybody to take care of. I'm gonna handle the things that are going on. I just like if I'm gonna say it, I don't want you to try to fix it, and then it's like okay, I'm just not gonna say anything, and then I'm just gonna go in here and work out, and nobody's gonna notice, and then everybody's like, "What's wrong with you?" And then it just
you're not smiling.
Spirals. Yeah. Woof. But by the end of the workout, I was, and that shout out to movement because I came in here with smelling like onions apparently, but in a good mood.
Yeah, you were good. Yeah, it was a good onion. Good onion.
That is terrible.
Okay. Dooby-dooby-doo. God, there was another question, but I can't remember it now. So we're going to skip
We're just going to call this podcast Onion. I'm sweating right now that like literally everybody knows I smell like a freaking onion now.
Oh, come on.
Synthol. A Lilabo Synthol onion. Because I do always have that spray on me as well.
What is that? That's a fragrance?
Synthol. Yeah, that's my fragrance.
Synthol. Tell me more.
From Lilabo.
Okay.
Do I normally smell like an onion, or do I normally smell like something relatively okay?
No, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like for how much you move, especially, I mean, sometimes I'm concerned because you're like, yo, I just did a workout like at Luca's, and then I'm also gonna film like 4 workouts with you, and like there's 2 parts. One, I'm like, how are you still like walking around? Like what is happening? And then the next day you're like in Mexico or something. I'm like, how do you fucking wake up? But then B, like, there might be a slight breeze, of a little funk, but like, sometimes it's probably just me sitting there too. Like, it's light. So I got to say, I appreciate that. I don't know what that means, like what you're doing, behind the scenes. Like maybe you're applying a lot of
secret deodorant. And don't come at me. Anybody that's listening to this and tries to come at me and tells me secret's bad. I have tried all of the baking soda, natural, this and that. And it's not that it doesn't work. The weird thing is it makes my clothes smell. Like, so I think I have allergic reaction to it or something.
Interesting.
Yeah, but we don't have to get into smells.
We're getting deep now. Let's move on from that. Okay, so we are going to, I'm really excited about this because I want it to go really well. So we've been getting people to leave comments or questions on SpeakPipe, which is kaisafit.com/ask, A-S-K, where you can leave a question. Are you good with the headphones over there? This is an adjustment.
It's
good. But there's a reason for it, right?
Oh.
So check this out.
Okay.
Here we go, folks. We're going to take some listener questions.
Oh, this is new.
Yeah, this is new. So
do we get a dun-dun-dun?
No.
Oh. Hello. I was wondering about supplements. What do you think are beneficial? What supplements do you think are harmful? And what do you take? Thank you. Bye.
That was from Samantha Barlow, Samantha shows up a lot of places. I see her on YouTube leaving comments. I see her on Instagram, and she left us a nice little message. Isn't that cool?
That is really cool.
So another thing I love about this little podcast thing is I can hook it up to my iPad and I can play questions live on the air.
We can hear from the team, which shout out again now, if you have questions, kaisafit.com/ask. Yeah. Now that we know it actually works.
So let's get to Samantha's questions. Supplements. What do you think?
So supplements, I have a love-hate relationship with supplements because I think a lot of people can tend to rely on them a bit too much. And when I mean supplements, I mean a little bit more like protein powder and stuff like that. And then also you can take things and you don't know what you're taking. And then, there's a lot of supplements that are kind of on the crappier side. So I've had a roller coaster ride with supplements. Recently, which we've talked about before, I have started using Thorne supplements, which I am loving. And again, I'm not a doctor. I don't know if things are like placebo. I love their protein powder. They call it Catalyte. It's like their electrolytes. I take an omega. I'm going to have to basically take a picture of what I take because I take a handful of things and now I don't even know it. I take an omega, a vitamin D, a joint support, and maybe like a multivitamin.
Are these all pills except the protein?
Yeah. Oh, the Catalyte, the electrolytes are not a pill. Yeah. But I'm getting organized. Like I put them in a little container.
You got that like old person. Like I have one of those little vitamin organizers. Yeah.
I do. And I feel great. But, there's other things that I've adjusted as well, but I'm loving it. And I think also like the older you get, there are a few things that we should be taking. But because I'm not a dietitian and I am not educated in this realm. I'm actually working with Thorne right now to create a site that educates on what the supplements are, and so that people can go in and understand what they're getting and what they might possibly need. So stay tuned.
Yeah, and I think like shout out to Thorne. Like I've been on that. Like I've taken a handful of Thorne things, but like just in the fitness space, they have been around for a long time. And I got to meet the founder years ago, and like they just seem to be more about education than like marketing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of, you know, like you said, like it's not regulated by the FDA. So kind of, it's a little bit of a weird market. But I think it's interesting. I'm excited actually about like the Thorne stuff because I want to learn more. But we've also talked about the placebo effect. Like, you know, there's certain things, like the one thing my doctor told me was like glucosamine is like pretty proven to like really help your joints. I was like, okay, I should take that. Like that seems like a good idea. Beyond that, there's definitely studies and things like that. But when you take like when I take something, it does, like I work a little harder, or I eat a little cleaner, or you know, like it is a placebo. And I think as long as you're not taking something that it's potentially bad, but I guess how would you know if it was bad? I don't know. But
yeah, I also kind of feel like I like the ritual of it. And I'm somebody that like protein powder is like very supplemental for me. You know, I definitely try to get my fuel from food, but also like there's certain things that you need and I'm not getting from food. So I'm loving that. Yeah, that's
cool.
that's my
so
supplement.
Yeah, we're not experts.
I'm not an expert, and that's where I never want to like. I am not saying anything about that in any detail, but we are working with Thorne to have their experts give us all the info.
Very cool. So stay tuned for that. All right. Next question comes from Tim. Tim, take it away.
Hi, Kaisa and Mike. My name is Tim. I'm an English guy living over in Denmark. 58 years old. I just wanted to know, have you got courses and types of training and methods that you use for guys like me? I'm not out of shape particularly, but I'm not at, let's say, peak shape that I would have been 20 years ago. A few niggles here and there, so I've got a dodgy knee, which is, dodgy is the English word for things going slightly askew. In my right knee, I've got a stiff lower back. I know I need to release my hips more, but my interests are always in achieving all-round fitness and good health going forwards, mobility, strength, conditioning, fat loss, and maintaining muscle mass as I get older. So yeah, just wondered if you can help, and it would be good to hear from you, and good luck with the podcast.
Oh my gosh, this
Wasn't
is
that good?
so cool.
I know, I was so excited when I heard that one.
We're like really connecting with the team.
I know, it's cool.
It's so great. Like we've never, even if we've connected through like comments, I've never heard like voices. This is
No, it's cool. What's funny to me about Tim's question though is like he seems to have like he kind of answered it. Like he like answered all the things that, I mean, maybe specifically like if there's classes or courses that you think would pertain, which you should provide.
I mean, I would 1,000% just say mobility to start with, and to make sure that your body's feeling good, especially if you're having some aches and pains. And then if you're in Just Move, you can start navigating through, because I think one of the things would be make sure that you start at the beginner level or even start level and just see how your body's feeling and start introducing things. A way to keep it simple as to what to do is do a mobility, do a strength, do a cardio 3 times a week, move, start seeing how you're feeling.
Do one a
of
day.
those. Yeah.
So
no, oh my gosh, not one a day.
Well, no, I know, but it sounded like you said like do a mobility, do a strength, do a cardio 3 times a week.
No.
Do
I'm
mobility
so sorry.
once a week, strength once a week, cardio once a week.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just see how your body's feeling. And if you feel better just doing mobility for a week, a month, a year, maybe that's the type of movement that your body needs.
Yeah, and so just in case, to be super clear, in case Tim doesn't know, justmove.com is where you can get a subscription to all of these classes. And so there's programs, and there's even mobility with strength, and there's even mobility with cardio, and there's even mobility with core, and then there's plenty of strength classes and cardio classes. So, but yeah, I agree with you. I think like as I age, I think like strength, and like Luca hit on that too, just like having power and like muscle mass is really important as you age, but also mobility is is definitely a foundation. And if I could only do one thing, I think it probably would be mobility. Yeah. Because it's going to affect
everything.
Yeah.
And for those of you tuning, like, so mobility, very simply put, is just focusing on movement that takes your joints through full ranges of motion. So it's essentially like, what would be a car turn? It's like making sure that you have the oil in your car. If you don't have that, you know, nothing.
And the tires aired up.
Nothing else is going to be. So it's like kind of, it's the maintenance. And because I recognized how much better I felt when I did it, I started to make it a little bit more entertaining for myself, which is why now we have so many other forms of mobility: cardio mobility, core mobility, strength mobility. So you could do it endlessly.
Totally.
And you should.
Yes. And the cool thing, just another shout out to mobility, is as you get more into it, I feel like I just find myself doing it on my own without even watching. Like every day now I do a mobility routine. That's just my own little thing. Yeah. But it's like, in a lot of times before I go to bed, I do a quick little thing too. Yeah. And it's just because I've watched enough to go like, oh, these few moves really serve me really well. And you just start working them into your daily.
I love that you're saying this. And I think the cool thing about mobility is it's almost instant gratification, because right away your body's like, oh, thank you. I had that ache and pain. And, you know, like when you did that, it kind of greased up my joint. Now I feel better. And that feeling is what draws you back to being able to do it more and more. So I love that.
Absolutely. Okay. Darcy.
Hi, Kaisa and Mike. I'm wondering if you can recommend some different types of stability knee braces that are easy to move in and bend in, squat in. I've purchased a few different types of knee compression sleeves, and they're just really bulky and uncomfortable to get my exercise in. If you have any suggestions, that would be great. Thanks.
Darcy, I feel like I'm failing you. I do not have any suggestions, but can I go on a little tangent here?
Go.
So I would love to be able to ask you more questions, Darcy, but I would like to know what's going on with your knee. And is your knee a like overuse injury? Is it achy? Is it bothering you? Did you like tear your ACL? Was there actually, you know, an acute injury? Because one of the things that happens with our knee is it's almost, for lack of a better word, it is a dumb joint. It is in the middle of really complicated joints, which is our hip and our ankle. And so it gets the brunt of what's happening or not happening at those joints. So I do like to tell people, if you're feeling some things in your knees, and you haven't had an acute injury, then we should start paying attention to adding a little bit more mobility into your hips and your ankles, because when you find more range of motion in those two areas, your knee doesn't have to do as much work. So I know I don't know you, so I cannot diagnose anything, and I'm so sorry I do not have an answer for a knee brace, but I would say, if it's something and it's a squeaky knee and it's just bothering you, let's start focusing on some hip mobility and some ankle mobility.
Yeah. And to add to that, I've been a knee brace guy. I've been through a lot of them. And I think what I've learned ultimately, like, A, there's none that aren't annoying and uncomfortable and bulky. And B, basically, like, writing what you just said is that, like, normally it meant I needed to take a break. And sometimes it was definitely just that compression. So even, like, just working throughout the day, like, that helped just kind of, like, keep what do you say, like, flush the fluid out or whatever, so it didn't kind of swell up. But like for movement, it was definitely like taking a break and paying attention to other things, and now I never wear a knee brace. But there's definitely reasons why people wear knee braces too, so without knowing what kind of knee brace. But if it's simply compression, and PTs are always good to check out, and doctors and all that, but not experts.
We are not.
We're just here to talk.
Yeah.
Okay, this next one is so good. All right, check this one out.
It up.
Sorry, I want to say. She may say in it, so I am sorry. Sorry if I mispronounced it.
Kaisa, I love you. So does my dog. She just yelled at you in the background. We love you, girl. I am a personal trainer. You are my inspiration. I lost a lot of motivation in COVID. Still doing my grind though, 6 years in the business, and you have just like reignited my spark. I love you. I love you. I love you. Oh my God, everything about you, girl. But my question to you is, tell us a bit about your journey, being in the fitness industry and starting a profession as a female surrounded by males. I love to work with males. My partner's in MMA. I'm very much in that industry as well, but being a female means like I have to cut my way through, and it's tough. And I want to know about your experience as a female in the fitness industry and being taken seriously and standing up for yourself as a female, and what you get from male coaches. Do you train from female coaches? Like, let's hear it, girl. Love you. Mwah. Thank you. I love your podcast, and I'm super curious about this, so let me know. All right, peace.
Oh my God, that was so good. Oh, I love the energy. I so appreciate people. Okay, where do we begin?
Well, since we covered a lot of like you train with a male coach and I think if you want to hit on just like how was it carving your way in the industry as a female coach, I think would be a great.
So I think what's interesting about me is because I was so negative about myself and about thinking that I was terrible. Like, it wasn't necessarily that it was because I was a woman. I just literally thought I am not a good coach. I'm not educated enough. I never said to myself, so it must be because I'm a woman. I was lucky enough to be in an industry or to start my career in Seattle at a very boutique gym, and most of the male coaches were very supportive. I had a very negative experience with the head founder. So that was like my first opportunity, being having a male look at what I was doing and not be supportive of it in a way that we don't have to get into.
Well, maybe.
I
think we should get into it.
Yeah. For me, so this human being was an ex-athlete that felt like he had never really shined. And I think he was a very well-known trainer in this area. And the older he got, I think it fizzled out in a way that that it was hard for him to deal with. And I came into that studio as a young, energetic athlete. And I think for lack of a better word, I think he was jealous of the way that people resonated with me and the programs that I was creating and the things that I was doing. And it was unfortunate because it was his space. And so it became an environment for me that was so, so unhealthy, because the one space that I was so true to like who I was, somebody was having such a problem and trying to like really put out my light there. And it's one of the reasons why I ended up moving on into a different studio and opening up my own business and doing that. So it all worked out. But that was like, I think that was one of the only times that I really, and I don't know that it had to do with me being a female. I don't know. But I think more of my story has to do with just not believing in myself, less than, having to come across like men that didn't believe in me. I believed in myself so little that like I believed in myself less than whatever anybody thought about me. In the industry, I also think women have to deal with not being over-sexualized. And I was very aware of that. And I was aware of the way I was training and the way that I wanted to train my clients. And then when I was on social media, the way that I was putting out content. So I think I've kind of steered clear, in the most part, I've steered clear of having that be the target on my back, and being much more about, performance and the things that I was physically doing. But I'm not going to lie. I don't have a moment. I think now maybe with certain men that I am in relationships with and understand how they're running their business and understanding how I'm treated a little bit differently is frustrating, because it's actually, factual. But I don't know what my advice would be. I don't know. It's hard. It is the world that we live in right now. Mm-hmm. I think in general, it is more difficult to be a female in the industry than to be a male. There's many more males than females. And I think we just have to keep pushing forward. I'm definitely aware of the opportunities that I have and trying to push them forward for the young female trainers that are coming up behind me. And I think it's getting better and better, which is really exciting. We have, professional male athletes that are training with females. And there are women that are in amazing positions now that weren't even 10 years ago when I was coming up. So
yeah. That's hard to like have the advice.
If it was like detailed questions, maybe I could, but it's hard because I think for me, it wasn't necessarily like, I never felt like it was because I was a woman that I was held back from things. I think I just always knew that I was holding myself back from things. So I can't necessarily say that I've had that experience of being a female and watching, my male counterpart who I'm equal to get more experiences or more opportunities than me.
You're also, on the flip side, you're like a force. I feel like you bring such like undeniable energy. We're like, no, that's not, like, you can't say no. That's not part of this conversation right now. Like, I'm doing this thing right now. Yeah. And if there's any, at least how I observe you over the years, like if there's any advice I could say that I think you could teach is just like, fuck it all. Like, just be you and be a force, and don't let that, like, it's going to be there. Like, it exists. Yeah. There's no question about that. Don't, as much as you can, don't let it slow you down. Like, keep doing you, keep your eyes on the prize.
Oh, thank you for saying that. And absolutely. And I think, like, I am aware now, because I'm thinking, like, I do use that as, I'm aware of somebody who is my counterpart who gets treated completely different now in, like, the business world of things, simply because he's male. And I use that as fuel. You know what I mean? And I, like, sometimes I do have to cut my losses because it's just the way that it's going to go. And I'm going to hold my line. I'm not going to take less. But yeah, I think I've worked a long time to get to the point where I'm really comfortable and confident in what I'm offering. And I do come in with that energy. And most of the time, hopefully it's undeniable. Sometimes, they don't want me around.
Yeah, totally.
It is what it is.
Yeah. But yeah, what great energy she brought to that question.
That was
right?
so awesome.
Hopefully we can hear from her again in the future.
Yes.
All right, you ready for, I think this is our last.
And also just like shout out to being a female in this industry, because it is a male industry right now. I don't necessarily think it has to be that way forever, and it already is changing. So shout out to all the female trainers. I like, more power to all of us.
Yeah. And
we're changing the game for those that are coming up behind us.
Yeah. And as like someone who's gone to classes, and like as a male, like I actually often liked female coaches better than male coaches, simply because they just, again, like ego, like they appeared to be way more interested in me learning the thing, regardless of how it affected them or like competed with them. Like CrossFit specifically, like it was like I made friends with a lot of the male coaches, but like most of the coaches I liked doing classes with because it was like fun and I didn't feel like there was any ego involved. I liked it. So, you know, I think
and I also just want to be like, and also shout out to the non-binary coaches, because I don't want to just say there's only female and male coaches. So yes.
I never had the pleasure of working with one, but yes, I agree with that 100% too. Here we go.
Oh.
Hutch's Stuff Performance check-in. I got a question for both of you. All right. One kind of shoe you can rock for the rest of your life. We going with some Nikes, some fresh Air Maxes maybe, or are we going Team Vivo? Let me know what you two think. Peace.
Oh my gosh, I almost ate the microphone. That's Coach Tyler. It took me a second to realize. I was like, wow, this guy's coming in hot with the energy.
I listened to that this morning. I was fucking dying because...
Did you tell him to call in?
No. Oh. No. I was going through. I was like, I wonder if we got any more messages, because I knew we were doing the podcast. I was like, oh, cool. We got a few new ones. And I listened to that, and I exact same reaction as you. I didn't know it was him until because he said Hutchins Stuff Performance, and I was like, wait. And then as he got to the shoe part, I was like, oh my God, this is Tyler. And the way he delivered it was so good.
The best energy. And shout out to Tyler. And if you have not taken any of his classes on Just Move, you are missing out. He is such an awesome coach, as are all the coaches. Okay. One shoe for life?
Yeah.
So this is the great debate.
The great debate.
I'm not gonna lie, in my older age, the way in which my body feels when I'm moving and training in a Vivo is game changing. So then I have to question, is it as I get older, I'm gonna keep training? So is it more important for me to feel good in my shoe or to look good? Yeah. Might go with feeling good.
Yeah.
We all know I'm in love with my Vivos.
Yeah.
I'm also obsessed with Nike though, so.
Yeah, I mean, I always go down too many truth-seeking rabbit holes here of is it how long, literally just one shoe? So the durability.
Is it the brand? Is it the
But I'm here wearing some new Reeboks, and I'll tell you right now, I'm only wearing them because I've been influenced by you and Luca lately, and everyone. I'm like, all right, you guys are kind of styling on me, and maybe I should get some new kicks. They're not the most comfortable shoes, but they do look kind of cool. I'm feeling kind of swaggy.
They look
today.
cool, but the cool thing about you is that you rock Vivos like outside of the gym, and you make them your own style. So I actually don't think that you need to bring back.
Oh.
Yeah, because you have your socks and you kind of roll your pants up a little bit to show the whole thing, the whole current situation.
I feel so acknowledged right now.
What we need to do, what somebody needs to do, aka me, is get him just more colors, because that's where we're at.
Yeah. That's good. I kind of wish we would have had this conversation before I chose to wear these outside, and now they're no longer returnable. Damn it. It was a big decision. It's okay.
I like the switch up of the Reebok Classics.
You noticed.
Totally noticed. The first thing I look at on people is shoes. I'm not gonna lie.
You're ground up.
I am ground up.
You're not top down. You're bottom up.
Ground up.
Yeah. I'm Team Vivo for sure. When I was in Amsterdam, I only brought 2 Vivos, and I was ready. My feet were finally ready. Like one day I did 14 miles.
In your Vivos. Yeah,
in my Vivos.
Broke your feet in and out your body in. Yeah.
I will say, travel tip, lacrosse ball. At the end of the day, if my feet were even just slightly, I just throw the lacrosse ball, roll out my feet a little bit. They're ready to go the next day.
Golf ball, lacrosse ball,
totally.
Theragun if you have enough space. While we're saying this, I don't mean to be that person that's plugging things, but if you do want to try Vivos, use the code Kaisa20 because you can get 20% off. They are expensive shoes. We both think that they're worth it, but they are expensive shoes. So we have convinced them to give us 20% off. So Kaisa20, 20% off of Vivo.
Yeah, and let me think here. My favorites. We should label our favorites.
Oh yeah.
So for men, I love. Oh my god! And now I don't know if I know the names of them. But
Primus.
The Primus for working out.
Yeah.
They're money. They're so good. They're really thin sole, so
Yeah.
Your feet have to be really ready if you want to wear them beyond training.
You have to break your feet. Point blank period.
Yeah.
We are doing our due diligence by telling you all you cannot go from a thick soled shoe to a Vivo and just do a full workout in them. You have to start wearing them around and breaking your body into them.
Yeah. The Geo Quartz, which they just dropped new Geo Quartz, which is the ones I was sending you last night. And they got
Dropping
that new
a hint.
color, just say. And then the Magna Trail, I think is what they're called. Those are dope because they have a little thicker sole, so you literally could hike with them, and it's just what you're like.
No, they have the gum rubber bottoms.
They do,
it's
which you like.
So fire.
Yeah, okay, you like it. Okay, yeah.
Oh my gosh,
those are my favorites.
Yeah, and the knit Vivos do run a little bit big. So sizing wise, I did size a size down for the knit ones because they end up being So if you have any other questions, just DM Mike and I. Mike's not on his Instagram as much as I am, so I'll answer your questions if you have questions about Vivo.
Yeah. No one's asking me questions. Come on.
Well, if you were on Instagram more, maybe they would.
I'm getting on there a little bit more, because it feels like, the fans out there want to hear. So, I'm just
fans.
checking.
Wow.
Your fans, because they spill over when they don't hear back from
fans,
you.
The team.
The team. All right. I think that is all I had. I know, folks, you're so sad that this podcast is over so soon, but we really appreciate you calling in, dropping comments, asking questions.
Wait, that was so fun. Now I'm sad. I'm womp that was it. So, okay, if you were listening and you've gotten this far, can you please call us? KaisaFit.com/ask. Can you call us, leave us a question? And it can be about anything because we'll take any question. I mean, we won't if it's absurd. We're not going to air it, but we would like to. We'd like to hear from you all.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what a great, this was so fun. I was so excited for today.
Yeah.
I had to get this special cord for this all to work, which I was nervous if I got the right cord. And so I got here early and checked this morning. I didn't even tell you, but it worked. And I was just like, ooh, it worked.
You were buzzing on it. Love it.
So be on the lookout for some new sound effects coming at you in the coming weeks. We'll load this guy up with some fun sound effects, I think. And
we've got to figure.
Oh, thank you, folks.
Thank you. Until next time. Until next time. Okay, but honestly, thank you so much for listening and tuning in. We appreciate you all. If you have questions, go and leave them there. Also, if you've listened to this a few times and you don't mind leaving us a review, we would so appreciate it. We just want to hear from you all. And if you have anything to say and maybe you don't want to leave a question? An audio question. You can always DM us as well and we can answer them on the show.
And I try to it's hard because there's questions on like YouTube and there's questions on Instagram and we get emails. And so it's a little hard. I'm trying to sort of like get them all together so we can hit everybody. Okay. The easiest way by far is KaisaFit.com/ask because then I can just play things and we can have conversations.
So
but
go there.
Yes, wherever they come in, we'll do our best for sure. And yes, we're terrible about asking for reviews, which is like how podcasts grow. And we want to get more guests on here and all of that. So,
speaking of, maybe you could even leave a video, or what is it called? An audio message. Leave a message and tell us who you might want us to bring on the show.
Yeah.
Because that was so fun having a guest. And I mean, I love talking to you, but sometimes, we talk about the same thing. So
no, it'll be a guest show for sure in the future. Yeah, we'll get more.
We just need to get to the point where guests want to be on the show.
Exactly. If you build it, they will come.
Which brings it back to, we really need your reviews. Yes. So if you have a moment and you can leave a review, do they just leave it on the podcast?
Yeah, so on however you listen to the podcast. I know Apple for sure.
Are you okay?
Yeah, so this
hop water.
Sometimes hot water. It's delicious, but it's also kind of burp water. I don't know Spotify. I'm pretty sure anywhere you listen to it, you can leave a review or a rating. And,
amazing.
Whether it's just 5 stars or it's a comment about it, how much you love it and all that stuff. We'd love to hear it.
We're so corny. We are unapologetic about the plug. But team, thank you so much for joining us here today. We are so appreciative of you tuning in, asking your questions, leaving your reviews, and we will see you back at the rectangular table very soon.
Peace.